From this distant vantage point, the Earth might not seem of any particular interest. But for us, it's different. Consider again that dot. That's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you ever heard of, every human being who ever was, lived out their lives. The aggregate of our joy and suffering, thousands of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines, every hunter and forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilization, every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every mother and father, hopeful child, inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there, on a mote of dust, suspended in a sunbeam. The Earth is a very small stage in a vast cosmic arena. Think of the rivers of blood spilled by all those generals and emperors, so that in glory and triumph they could become the momentary masters of a fraction of a dot. Think of the endless cruelties visited by the inhabitants of one corner of this pixel on the scarcely distinguishable inhabitants of some other corner. How frequent their misunderstandings, how eager they are to kill one another, how fervent their hatreds. Our posturings, our imagined self-importance, the delusion that we have some privileged position in the universe, are challenged by this point of pale light. Our planet is a lonely speck in the great enveloping cosmic dark. In our obscurity, in all this vastness, there is no hint that help will come from elsewhere to save us from ourselves. The Earth is the only world known so far to harbor life. There is nowhere else, at least in the near future, to which our species could migrate. Visit? Yes. Settle? Not yet. Like it or not, for the moment, the Earth is where we make our stand. It has been said that astronomy is a humbling and character-building experience. There is perhaps no better demonstration of the folly of human conceits than this distant image of our tiny world. To me, it underscores our responsibility to deal more kindly with one another and to preserve and cherish the pale blue dot, the only home we've ever known.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to episode 43 of the Mind Clash podcast. Coming to you live from Twitch. Maybe not live with Kale. He'll figure his stuff out. He'll be here soon. I swear. He was just here. He'll be back. But don't worry, we have many guests to make up for Kale's absence till he sorts his shit out. We will start at the back here on the right, because I know Commander A's is slightly busy. We'll start with a new guest of the show, Lohan Murata. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Hey guys, I'm Lohan Murata. I'm a IT director with the Society of Unethical Treatment for Sleepers. Really just Wormbro. It's the primary corp. I'm a wormholer and a multi-boxer.
Dirty cheater. Vandery, tell us who you are, what you do.
Hey, my name is Vandery, and I'm the alliance leader for Feign Disorder. It's a small PvP group that's been roaming around for quite some time now. We were in Scalding Pass a while ago. Now we're in Quirius and just shooting everybody we see.
Like not purple shoot?
Yeah, pretty much.
Preferable. Great. Tridget, who are you?
Hey everybody, I am Turgid, Warlord for Iron Armada, hailing from Fountain these days.
You're giving yourself new titles. I like it. Commander Ace, are you with us? He is not. He's still busy practicing to be the...
here.
Oh, yay!
Hey, so I'm currently the CEO of Sub-Zero in the Bastion Alliance inside the Imperium. I'm also a 4-time runner for CSM, despite the fact that I haven't gotten on yet. I'm still going to run again.
Great. I need lots of people to run. Kale, you're back from the internet dead.
I'm back, and I'm currently using my phone as a hotspot, so you might have to drop my video. I don't know, but geez Louise, I hate when this shit happens.
I hope you have a good 4G plan.
Yeah, I went to unlimited because of stuff like this.
How's it going, man? How was your week?
It was good. I had, obviously I had staff duty on Monday, which was fun, but I also had it on Thursday. I switched with somebody, otherwise I would have had it tomorrow, and that would have sucked. But so yeah, I did a lot of EVE Online while sitting in the squadron building in the middle of the night, which led to some bad decisions. Around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning ish. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I do want to buy this Orca and just go mine with it. I don't know. So I immediately regretted that.
See, I read that in the show notes, and I thought, Kale bought a Guardian Vexor? Like, what? How did he get all that money?
No, well, I went and got the stupid Orca, and I was mining in that for about 3 hours, and it was still like mining as I'm watching another TV show. So just mining drones are going on it. And then I was like, oh, there's a CTA, and they want people to have Ishtars. Let me just grab one of those off contract for like 600 million or something like that. So I went and got one of those and didn't really use it. So I spent about almost 2 billion in those couple nights.
An Ishtar you could find a use for. They're pretty practical.
Oh, eventually. I hope I blow it up or something, make it worth the whiles. But yeah, and then this weekend I went to a brewery, and all that was fun.
Sweet. Yeah, I had a pretty good week. Didn't have too many good real estate options to look at this week, so I had a little bit more time for EVE. Some decent fights, even though we had a sad fight on Monday. I don't know if Tridget will want to talk about that, but
I'll talk about that. I'll 100% talk about that.
Tell us about our sad fight.
So we were anchoring a fort, and a number of people within my alliance didn't show up. So yeah, it was basically one of those things where we definitely did not expect our adversaries to form, because it's literally like 4 a.m. their time. And they alarm clocked it, and they had enough big toys on standby that I didn't feel we were ready to commit our toys into the fray. So we didn't do that. We just kind of did some kitey shit with T3Cs, and we actually held them off the objective long enough that by the time they dropped in 4 suicide dreads to hit the fort, well, potentially suicide, it's not like we killed them, but they dropped in 4 dreads to pause the timer at 36 seconds. So yeah,
it was still a good brawl. We bounced back and forth from the gate to the Fortizar. We were all over the place. We used our jump crew pretty effectively.
Oh no, it was a fantastic fight. Like we suffered a couple of initial problems in terms of me telling the Logi Anchor to pull some distance, and he went one way, I went the other way, and when you're in an MWD comp, that can be a problem real fucking quick. So that happened. So I warped us off, lost a Guardian in that. Now we're down a little bit, came back in. They dropped triage, and we managed to use our jump destroyers. We call them the jump team, and we were blinking pieces of the enemy fleet away from their triage and then trying to kill them down, etc. They got tired of that, and like I said, we almost saved the fort doing it by keeping their triage bubbled on the gate while their max warped away, and we're doing things on the fort grid, and they had like paltry number of guardians, so we just handled that with our legions, and yeah, it was a great brawl. It was just very, very heated 4 a.m. exchange for the EU crew. We did find out that they really enjoy our jump destroyers, though.
Good times.
Yeah, I've seen those things firsthand. They're nasty.
Yeah, they're a great. I've said it tons of times on the show. They're a great addition to this game, and probably we haven't even dug fully into all of the things they can be abused and used for. Like, I haven't seen smart bombing groups moved around by them. I haven't seen bomb groups be moved by them.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, so it's okay. I've seen defensive bubble moving, but I haven't seen offensive bubble moving.
I always thought it'd be interesting if you could use the bombers to jump a pack of bombs straight down to the enemy.
You can. It works.
Yeah. I've never done it myself, but I've always wanted to try it.
He's been talking about that one for a while. In fact, there's a little bit of an interesting story between Bandery's group and my group. Previously, we were of the Heathens Coalition when we both lived in Scalding Pass and Wicked Creek. But the reason why we were called that is because they effectively grew up, shall we say, in Molden Heath, and then they moved down to Scalding Pass and took some Sov. And at about that same time, a little bit past that, Iron moved into Molden Heath, and we did a lot of growing up in that region. And then we ended up fighting Feign Disorder a lot. And they actually did this wonderful move where in one particular tower fight against Feign, they dropped, two triage on the POS, and then we dropped some dreads, and we dropped a lot more dreads than they were expecting, but that was okay because they dropped supers at range, and they basically held our dreads down, and our subcap fleets were just fucking done. But so we had dreads sitting tanking, and they had supers warping around grid, pooping fighter bombers out, and we ended up saving a lot of dreads by using our jump team to double jump Hicks off of our dreadnoughts that were pointing our dreadnoughts, and then we signed them out. So the Butcher's bill was actually a lot smaller than it could have been.
Yeah, that was fun. I remember giving people conniption fits with our super maneuvers.
It was a little annoying.
Yeah, I actually use micro jump destroyers as part of my PvE fleet composition for exactly that reason.
Yeah, definitely good defensively, offensively, to get yourself out of a bad situation, to get yourself into a worse situation.
Hey, you guys were the ones. Remember when we jumped into that fight where PL showed up? And you jumped all the bubbles off of our Minakawa and our dreads.
Oh yeah.
That was fucking clutch.
Well, I mean, typical PL. Two or three groups start fighting, and they just light a Sino in the middle of it and come down and try to kill everybody. But yeah, we managed to extract again.
The vast. I think all the dreads, pretty much. I think like 1 or 2 died, maybe. But Razor's Minakawa has seen like 8 of its 9 lives already.
Dude, his minnow is fucking legendary.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a decently busy week as far as player news.
Just want to call it that.
Not exactly like a big wars are kicking off or big heists or anything, but I mean, there's some big fights this week.
There was that Pravi business with the Keepstar. I heard a little bit about that.
I saw the other night Shadow lost Vengeance, I think it was. Not a Vengeance, Vendetta, that's it.
There does seem to be a consensus that there's a lot of supers and carriers being killed left and right.
When they're being made that fast, that's going to happen. People are throwing them around without any knowledge on how to use them properly.
Yeah, friend of the show, Asherathi was smug, very, very smug that Fed Up got on those super kills out in Losec there. But yeah, 71 kills this month for supers. Over 2 months ago, that had 65.
I saw firsthand the other night the problem of proliferation of supers and how many there are out and about. Tridget, you can tell.
Oh yeah, we did a little bit of a roam through Delve, and it was kind of like a going away thing for one of the Iron pilots who's moving away for reasons. And yeah, no, he. So we all got into these like hyperspatial artillery, just fucking cancer Cinnable fleet. It's just like, it's a fun fleet. It would never win a grid fight or anything, right? And we went and we tackled some Roracles, and we're doing the thing. There's no way we're actually going to kill it. I mean, we're like 30 Cinnables, right? And of course, Sino goes up, and then local explodes, and here comes all of the supers and Titans and everything. So we warp, next few systems over, and then again, a few minutes later, another Sino goes up, and all of the Titans and supers come through, and it's ridiculous. Like, it actually, there's a Wyvern and a Hick on a gate, and we jump through, and the Hick bubbles up, the Wyvern lights the Sino, and then a bunch of Titans come through, and all the supers and faxes and everything, and the Titans are like BFGing at things, and I swear one of them was shooting the wrong way, but and we just MWD back through the gate and then leave, and nobody dies. Like, well, actually, sorry, the one guy died because his computer fucking crapped out when they all jumped through. But
And if I remember correctly, Cinnable is a cruiser.
yeah, it's a cruiser.
Yeah,
So
it's got
a 30-man cruiser gang warranted cat fleet.
when you have that many supers, I guess you just throw them around willy-nilly because you have no chance of dying. Because at the end, when we were trying to extract, we knew we were going to lose some in the extraction because they had time to set up for us. When we finally extracted, when we warped to the outgate, there were 3 Titans there BFGing the gate as we landed.
Yeah.
So we lost probably, what do you think, 7 or 8 Cinnables? It wasn't like a total wipe. It was surprising. My Cinnable got hit down to hash hill. I think I threaded the needle right between the 2 BFGs.
Oh, dude, I got pointed the instant I decloaked. It was like sirens instantly on me from a super.
I think it was like 100+ supers that jumped.
Yeah, it was pretty absurd. It was. Do you know what it was? It was impressive, but it was insane. Like,
Yeah. Like the amount of money they spent on fuel doing that.
I was going to say, you must have won the Topes War.
Well,
we
the
won
funny
war.
thing is I was even joking during that fleet as it was happening. I was like, remember back in the day when those like snaked vagabonds and stuff would come through? It'd be like, oh, everybody undock the battleship fleet. Well, now it's like, oh, when the hyperspatial Cinnables come through, everybody undock your fucking soups. Like,
They were already undocked. Don't fool yourself.
it's true. They were undocked on their Keepstar chirping in local. It was actually kind of funny though.
I mean, Killaby was saying about the Pravi Keepstar fight that went down this week, involving Imperium and CVA defending almost impromptu CVA Keepstar, that most of the Goon capitals, the carriers and faxes that were on grid, but obviously the carriers were ratting fit, and they weren't really prepared for the PvP engagement that they got themselves stuck into. And Carneros, in commentary on the on Talking in Station, said that there was a lot of lessons learned immediately and progressively as the fight went on, because NCPL had 2 dread bombs set up, one that dropped on the initial fight and one that dropped on the reinforcements. And that fight was heavily decided by some bombers and 2 fleets that were completely evaporated by horde bombing runs. So
I think Reddit did wonders for this one, because I was peripherally paying attention to this event because busy at work, etc. But someone drew, and it was like clearly done in paint, but it was the funniest thing. It was like how test warps away from bombing runs or something like that, and it was like bubbled bombers, and then the warp out point, just the arrow pointing in the wrong direction, so that like the fleet completely just stops and takes it in the chin. Oh god, it was so good.
apparently the bunny that was on field and on grid, the interceptor that was at warpable distance for the Maelstrom fleet, was not directly in front of them where their align point was, but 90 degrees off.
That's the one, yeah.
definitely can't warp out very fast in a battleship when you're in heavy tie-dye.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
Oh god,
So-
and the tie-dye. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Cal.
So, Miranda, before we go too far in all the fun and whatnot, do we want to quickly go over the news, talk about some of these things that may or may not be coming soon to a EVE Online client near you?
I just wanted to remind everyone, there was fun stuff that happened this week before we talk about things that we hope are coming in July.
Yes, there was things that we don't know about things of other things that may or not happen with other things related, but we don't know because, I don't know.
The
If that
TLDR
makes
there
sense.
was undock, have fun, but also there's cool shit coming.
TM. So yeah, apparently the first I heard of this one of these new things was on Reddit, was the agency thing, and I'm thinking to myself like, why is this stuff coming on Reddit? And then someone was like, oh, it's on it was in Sissy, and I'm like, well, damn, CCP, why don't you go release this kind of stuff before putting it on Sissy and letting the masses figure it out? But I guess they did put something about it in their what's happening in EVE this week or whatever their little dev post is. So yes, they are starting a reiteration of the Shadow of the Serpentis thing that we did, or the Shadow of the Serpent thing we did last year, called the Agency, and that's all we know about it.
Well, we know a bit more. It's
Yeah, a little.
different than the Shadow of Serpentis, which had a structure set up to encourage heavy grinding of the points, so you could grind towards the Super and Titan BPCs.
Right. Which I don't see any of that in this. All it is Plex and injectors.
Correct. So this is more set up as a daily incentive to log in. So they are easy quests that you can easily finish in, 10 minutes by undocking, kill some asteroid belt rats, make 1 million Iskov bounties, complete an anomaly in a T3 cruiser. These are easily accomplishable tasks in 20-25 minutes.
I don't know if you said quests to be facetious or
You
if
know their
you're
quests.
really.
You know their quests.
Yeah.
Yeah,
at
but
lea-
please no.
Okay, they're not missions because you don't accept them from a mission agent.
They just happen.
They're tasks, daily tasks.
Smells an awful lot like picking up 10 boar tusks to me.
I mean, it's stuff that you probably were going to do anyway. So if you just happen to do that little checkbox, it goes bling. You did this thing. Good job. Here's a toy.
Steam achievement.
Yeah, it's an achievement. So it'll be kind of what they did with the opportunities / Shadow of the Serpent, which I like. But at the same time, I don't like how you're saying, and a lot of people are saying, it's going to give you a reason to log in. Please, Mother of God, you think this is going to give me a reason to log in? Like, if I'm not logging in already, I'm not going to do it to earn a booster for ratting.
Well, the boosters, as they were listed on CC Leaks, was not only do you get the one for logging in, so you log in, you'll get a booster of 3% to your velocity. And that'll last 45 minutes, an hour. And then on top of that, you can earn the rewards from the mission lines. So as you progressively move up the chain, there's a 1, 3, 5, and 7% bonus to velocity and scan resolution in the vein of the Quaif booster, but from the agency.
Mm-hmm.
And Quaif are
So-
quite popular.
So I guess what the agency is, from all I understand, the intent is, it is instead of the scope, which was a derivative of Galentian news service, the agency is going to be a I don't want to say interplanetary, just everyone's interagency type of group, I guess, of all the races.
Interfaction. Excuse me.
Interfaction. There you go. But yeah, so that's all I really understand about that. Is there any back history? Is this the first time we're going to see the agency and what this is?
It's the first reference I've caught to it, and I would assume that
Yeah,
this would be
I
a
searched.
division of...
I could not find any reference at all to the agency, and they just simply said it's a joint task force, pretty much.
There's two
Now, the
things.
Tinfoilery. Go ahead.
It could be a group from Concord, or it could be a placeholder
Mhm.
name for a future event.
Right.
Yeah.
So I hope it's not a future event. I do like the theory that it is Concord who is trying to underhandedly try to get us to get rid of pirates for them so they don't have to use direct involvement as a police force. But I sure to God hope there's not like another plot twist and we go off into this other tangent of a new enemy or whatnot. Like, goddamn, let's not do that.
Hey, can we wrap up the incursion storyline?
Yeah, can we finish that or finish the Drifter storyline or any other storyline that you just started and just amazingly stopped for no reason?
I always thought the incursion storyline was cool. I'm sad that they haven't like iterated on it.
Yeah.
Like that's direct line to Jove lore.
There's pieces of that storyline available in Shattered Wormholes, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
I've wanted to go to those sites.
I've stumbled across the Shattered that has the destroyed Sancha Revenant in it. That's the direct link. Is there's a epicenter area where there's a bunch of wormholes and then there's a destroyed Revenant just hanging out.
Yeah, there's like 5 Shattered Wormholes with interesting storyline in it. Like 3 of them are Sancha's and 2 of them are other stuff.
I always just wish that they would push on that Jove lore because I mean, my understanding of it, my very bare understanding of it was like they are either in cahoots with the Jove or they wipe the Jove out because they're using Jovian stations.
I'm assuming that they're going to go back to it. There was the tease at FanFest of the pickup sticks object within the wormholes, the Drifter wormholes. So
yeah, like is that a super weapon? Is it a gate or what is it?
Yeah, there's definitely options there if they actually decide on a direction to go as far as what they're going to turn that into. Whether it's a zone that we can all go to from all over space and it's a one-way trip and we all just murder zone on the other side of that gate.
Yeah.
Which would be cool in my mind.
I always thought it'd be cool, like if they, based on that trailer where like they're building a gate, I wish that would get pushed on, like that iteration.
Well, could very well come. I mean, there was a developer comment on one of the EVE Online forum posts where they said, I don't know where I saw where they said like something about like, get excited, gates are coming or something like that. It was like a very small little blurb that was almost went unnoticed. But that was like a couple weeks ago. I'd mentioned that. But hopefully that is one of the next directions that we're going to go into is gates are going to open up. We're going to have new places. You know, they're talking about expanding our universe in some way. So maybe that's what it is.
Presumably, I attended FanFest this year based on the timeline that they were providing as far as the development of Citadels. It seems like after they finish up refineries and push onwards to, I believe they talked about observation posts and the like. It seems like player-made Stargates are really the next big iteration on the roadmap. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're starting to really seriously consider it, you know, at this stage.
Well, we may not discover new systems, but I bet you we're going to discover new planets.
Oh, what a segue.
So in the July release, there's been it's been shown that the new Project Discovery exoplanets will be available. It's available on CC right now if you want to go try it out. I took a shot at trying it out yesterday until my wife decided to tell me to make dinner. My feelings from it, and there's a couple videos out there in the community of people rolling through it, but it is a 10-part tutorial to learn how to use it. Unfortunately, there's no back button after you use one of the features to like go back and compare what you've just done. Once you roll through it, it's a little bit tricky, but it's kind of intuitive the way it's just graphs and visuals. You can eventually work your way through it to understanding it. Even after not completing the tutorial, I went into just completing some of the analyses, and it seemed to make sense. I just didn't know how to properly use it. And it's pretty well rewarded. So there is a reward based on every level. So like Overwatch, every time you complete a level, you'll get a loot box, and those loot boxes will contain a skin for one of the 4 factions, and it'll be the Empire faction of whatever the one it was, and the Exoplanet skin. So there's a skin for every ship within each of the Empire factions. The exceptions might be the T3 cruisers that might be locked to the progressive rewards, which currently on CC the progressive rewards are 2 clothing items at the low levels. At level 50, you get a pacifier frigate BPC, and at level 75, you get the Tengu silvery blue skin.
Interesting.
So that feature should be available for you to do when you're mining or waiting at a gate camp or ship spinning instead. And the rewards seem pretty nice.
From what I saw of you doing the stream, it looked like you were trying to manipulate or match maybe like some sort of radio signal.
Yeah, so it's what we're actually analyzing is the light spectrum coming from a star that's very distant to us. And as planets move in front of the star, the amount of light that's reaching our planet will decrease. And this is like by a marginal percent, because consider how small a planet is compared to a star. So you're dropping from like 100% visibility down to like 99.97% visibility. So tracking these changes, which are periodic as a planet revolves around its star, we can see if there are exoplanets by marking out the divisions in the periodicity of the light. But if there are multiple planets, or the planet has a weird orbit, or if it's a binary star, there's all kinds of variability in those periods. But obviously, it's going to be set up like the cell biology one, where there are ones that are completed and already known. So when you try to do it, if you get it wrong, they'll be like, you did it wrong. This is why it's wrong. Here is where the period of the planet was. And it should train you that way till you get better. Of course, like the other planet or project discovery project, it's probably going to get broken by players as we choose a new cytoplasm to click on. And the developers are going to have to get back on that.
Didn't they have to like change it like on a curve just because everyone kept clicking the wrong thing? So like, oh, fuck it, that must be the right thing.
What they originally did was they gave you rewards based on the community consensus.
Right.
Because people were misidentifying large numbers of samples as cytoplasm, if you just picked the community consensus, you got rewarded. They ended up a couple weeks into it switching to a reward system based on the like test samples that they give you, so that you can get like samples that are very clearly identified as, oh, this is cytoplasm, this is nucleus, this is whatever.
Yeah, man, leave it to E players to go ahead and fuck something up like that.
That being said, the rewards weren't that crazy, so it was never really that big of a deal. I mean, I think I ran the numbers on it once. You can only make like 1 million ticks or something like that off of doing analysis. Like even doing them at a very rapid pace, you're only making like 10 million ISK an hour.
So the difference about this one to the last one is the last one, the best rewards were all just clothing items. This one is going to have an item that's in constant demand, which is the Concorde ships. Even if they don't ever become super strong, people will always have demand to fly them. So.
Oh yeah, I saw that demand a couple weeks ago when the whole thing happened.
Mm-hmm.
Not a couple weeks ago, but a week ago.
And they've already mentioned that the Marshal will probably be lodged into the Project Discovery rewards as well.
What's the Marshal?
It's the battleship version.
Right.
Is that one going to have a covert ops clipped, or is it just going to be like a black ops? Oh, okay. So it's
specifically covert ops? No, it's going to be like black ops in that it can't warp cloak, but it can do all the similar stuff that black ops can.
It'll be able to jump?
Yes.
Yeah, there were numbers out about it before. They haven't released a model for it.
They released a picture of the model, but not the skin that it's going to have.
Right. So yeah, that's the Project Discovery. If you want to give that a try, it's on CC now. Just open up the Project Discovery and roll through the tutorial.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So, real quickly before I know we want to go into other news, when I was writing the show notes yesterday, and several times throughout the past week or so, I'll go to updates.eveonline.com on this computer right here in front of my face, and it continuously and still does show me Blood Raider Shipyards as the last update, and then summer 2017, eVegas, winter 2017, FanFest. So I pointed it out somewhere, and Rivra said that, no, you dumb, check again. It's updated. I just happened to be on my phone, pulled up my phone. I was like, oh, snap. It does show the current June updates. But then I went back to my computer here, and I'll look again right now, and it shows the old stuff. So I'm wondering, why is that? Does anybody else see that stuff, or is that just me and my stupid computer?
Caching errors, maybe?
I thought that. So I cleared all the cache. I cleared history, I cleared cookies, I cleared everything that I thought might have anything to do with it, and it still just continues to show bad stuff. So,
and this is the updates.eveonline.com portal.
Yeah.
No, I'm not seeing that. It looks up to date to me.
So if anybody has insights onto why my computer is not showing, maybe the computer doesn't want me to know these updates.
It's possessed by a spoopy ghost.
Probably. Did you say Spooby?
I did indeed.
You said Spooby.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. Then we say that at work. We say that at work. So I'm surprised somebody else says it.
It's a thing.
That's like a super
It's a
thing,
huge meme.
Yeah, very very memey.
Wait till Halloween comes around.
Anyway, so
be on the show.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So moving quite along, yeah, that looks pretty cool. I watched you do a little bit of the Project Discovery. I'm kind of excited for that. But there's some other things that are going to be happening, and there are some things happening right now, like the Rogue Drone events, the Rogue Swarm. Got a few more days left on that before it ends, so make sure you get your accelerator on.
Yeah, I have. I maxed out on mine. I got enough for mine. I definitely didn't get all the skins. My OCD always forced me to get all the skins on the previous events, but there are like 4 factions.
Yeah,
so
these
many
are
skins.
all the skins. Like it's just random what skin you may or may not get.
I can't do it. I just did my best. I gave up.
Yeah, and, the one thing that I where I would like the Shadow of the Serpent or the agency type events is that it's almost to where it's for me to do. Like I don't have to worry about what other people might be doing. Whereas this one, the Swarm event, and all those other ones we've done, like if I don't get to that site first, like I've lost a chance to get that. So that's where I would like those other events where like, okay, I know I can do this amount of things and I get this thing. Whereas, if I log into the system at this time and, like this morning, I warped around to like 8 different systems and I didn't find one before I had to leave,
I have pretty good luck when I log on in the morning when it's a low time zone for my group, and Fountain itself is pretty low population in the pipes, so I've had pretty good luck in there. I didn't get to smug about this last week, but I've actually had quite a few good fights in the sites themselves. Killed a Stratios in there with a gang, had a solo fight against a Cormorant, who was a little bit newbie, but still killed him. I had quite a few guys come in on me and had to bail. It's good times. It's good content generation, for sure, in my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel. Have you guys done many of these sites?
I've done like a handful tops, but we did get that one rattlesnake that decided that sitting at 0 on them was a good idea, so it worked out for me.
Yeah, I've done them in the sense that we've warped into people doing them and killed them.
I mean, it's the easiest way to condense your loot,
Yeah.
I've done 2.
How are the spawns in Wormhole Space?
They seem. I would say they'd be on par with like the first Blood Raider event in terms of number of sites. but they're no different, really. I haven't seen many people run them, I think because the rewards just aren't that enticing compared to normal Wormhole PvE. I've only run one of them myself, so I don't pay too close attention to them.
I did hear a rumor at the beginning of the event that if you have more than 100 million SP and something still left to train, that the value you get out of an accelerator, if you have Biology 5, is approximately 200 million in if you were to equivalency it with injectors.
Oh, I believe it. I mean, because the injectors have such a bad return the higher up in SP you get.
I mean, I know I have, I'm not 5s with everything subcap, so I still got lots of shit to train.
Yeah, I'm at that point in my youth career where it's like, if I buy an injector, it's like, oh, what am I actually? First of all, this is terrible, and second of all, what am I actually going to inject up at 5? Because I've got pretty much everything at 5.
Vander, if you could speak up or improve your volume a little.
Sorry about that. Is that better?
Yeah. I know I got a whole new list of training skills that I needed to do before the Alliance tournament, as I didn't realize that I had really shitty jamming skills until AT practice.
Don't be a scrub.
Yeah, the AT is really where you need to have 5 now to be competitive.
For sure. Well, ships you aren't going to see in the AT that much, but have received a redesign on their hull models are the Rupture, which translates into the Broadsword, and the Munin. They've all received a new model that will be coming in the July release.
I'm actually a pretty big fan of the look.
Yeah, they look pretty sweet. I'm a big fan of Minmatar, and I do fly a Rupture occasionally.
I gotta say the Broadsword looks special.
Yeah, I do have to say I've been one of the go-to fleets for CO2 for like a quick form reaction is the Rupture. So I've been seeing a lot of that lately. So if I'm gonna have to keep looking at it, might as well look at a new pretty one.
Dave B in chat says, my space nail gun is legit.
Yeah, it does kind of look like that. Right.
Well,
someone made a post on Reddit the other day, the exact image comparison.
It's pretty close. I mean, if you didn't want to post on Reddit, you can post on the new Evo forums. Which are
that you can post. Dude, I love the new Evo forums. I don't care what anybody says. Everyone's like, oh, it's garbage, this and that. Why do we need this? Blah, blah, blah. Come on, they were talking about the same people who've been complaining for years. Oh, the Evo forum sucks. This is why I use Reddit. Well, I mean, that's pretty much what they've done now. They've added to where you can tag people. You can embed links. You can embed video, GIFs, images, or GIFs. GIFs or GIFs, however you want to call it. Single sign-on. And most importantly, it's mobile friendly. Let's get real.
Yeah, no, that's a big. I honestly, looking at it on the desktop, I just wish that they gave some more differentiation between the sections, like gave more space. Like it's a little.
I
tight.
have not looked at it on the desktop.
It's a little compact for my personal tastes. I think it's just a little too close together for it to be easy to navigate.
Okay, am I full retard? But when I clicked on, I realized that on the launcher, there's no link to the forums.
Probably not.
And that when I went to the EVE website and I went to the forums, it felt like it took me to the old forums.
Okay, so some of the stuff, like in the This Week in EVE little dev blog, if you went to that would bring you to the new version as you're going through it. But as far as everything else, it's still beta/meta.
Meta? What's meta?
I see
I
what
don't
you
know.
did there.
That's what they called it. It's meta.eveonline.com.
Yeah, they've stated that they're going to do a transition period in the next, I think, month and a half, because they're also winding down corporation forums and letting everyone, move their services off of the old forums and onto presumably, either self-hosted forums or some other format.
Yeah, let me tell you what, I like it, and I hope and pray that we can maneuver from Reddit to this, but I know I haven't actually seen a lot of people on Reddit trashing this, but that's probably because they're too self-involved with whatever they're doing there in that hellacious place. But probably another reason is because some of the new rules, the 9 specific rules they have for the new forums.
Lay 'em on me.
Rule number 1, specifically restricted conduct, i.e., don't be a troll. Very vague. Goes over, don't be a troll, don't be an asshole, don't be rude, blah, blah, blah. Number 2, specifically restricted content, i.e., no porn, real world politics, real world religions, blah, blah, blah.
Hold on.
Yes.
What was rule one again?
Don't be a troll, which is why a lot of people from r/Eve aren't there.
Sorry, one more time.
Don't be a troll.
Fuck.
Got him.
So here's the thing about that specific thing. While yes, our Eve is abundantly saturated with trolley types, cancer, whatever you want to call it. There is one thing that our Eve will not ever lose in a competition with any sort of official CCP forums, and that is that it is not an official CCP forums. Therefore, the voice of when CCP does some sort of boneheaded decision or whatever, that is a good place to vent that without heavy-handed moderation by CCP.
True, but you would think that part of the forum's design and role would be for players to come on there and say, hey, Dev, I think that this change that you did with this is not good. Here's the reason why. Instead of having to go do it on Reddit, and then you get devs going to Reddit, and then they throw oil in the fire. And
to be fair, most people coming onto the forums to complain about a problem don't present it in that column of the fashion.
You're correct.
It's mostly screeching.
I don't know that we can point to Reddit to be the voice of reason when it comes to that either.
No, 100% we cannot.
Absolutely not. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying, it's a good thing that people can talk to the devs about the problems, but at the same time to expect the average person who has a problem to not be a screeching ninny is...
I think my point was slightly lost. I'm not saying that Reddit is a better venue for this discussion or those type of discussions. I'm saying that people will view it as such because CCP can't moderate it and therefore gravitate to that one.
Sure.
Which brings me on to rule number 3, which is post constructively. Yes, you heard it. That's rule number 3. You must post constructively. And if you do not post constructively, the dev or ISD, whoever's on there, will try to sway you into posting constructively. As I've actually seen a few as I've gone through there, you'll see some of the devs like, oh, hey, maybe you should try doing this instead of this, and let's talk about this. So they're trying to make it kind of like when you're on a university class message board. They're like, oh, make sure if you comment to somebody, other students, you have to be constructive and this and that. It's kind of like that, which is, again, we're Eve players. Why we don't want to be constructive? We want to tear people apart, right?
I think there's a difference between the meta and what the devs want to just try and decipher out of the random screeching.
I think a lot of mature players want to be constructive out of game and want to tear people apart in game.
I would say you're probably right, but again, it's like the vocal minority that doesn't.
Oh, there's definitely a vocal minority who want to see this game burn, and for them to be standing there with the fire and the gas can and being like, yeah, I told you it was going to burn.
Yeah, I'm just going to sit here with my popcorn.
And then they will also write the obituaries like, I missed this game. This was all I had. I had to start a real life after Eve died.
So I won't hit all of them, but I hit the real good ones. Number 6, use the correct language, please. English, American is what we prefer. So unless you're in a specifically non-English subforum, you will speak English. Yeah. Abuse of CCP. This is specifically what it says. Abuse of CCP employees and ISD volunteers is prohibited as rule number 7. So don't be mean to Fozzie. My favorite was individual forum sections may have additional rules. What I read there was more rules can be made if they feel like it.
I don't know if I agree with that sentiment. I feel like that's more maybe to keep the forum sections on topic.
Yeah, and that clearly is a nod towards like the character bazaar, for example, where you specifically have to post in a format and you can only do certain. Oh Jesus, you can only do certain things with certain ways, etc. So that makes sense.
Your dog clearly does not agree with you.
Clearly,
my roommate dog has arguments.
On the note of ISD as well, in the conflict between using Reddit versus the forums, I've seen, right or wrong, a lot of people on Reddit kind of throw shade on the old forums that ISDs tended to be very overzealous in what they would and would not, lock, removes, whatever you want to call it. I've never really used the forums, so I can't speak to the veracity of that, but it seems to be a common and continual complaint that ISDs are not necessarily up to snuff when it comes to determining what's good content versus what's not. And I believe Falcon actually made specific reference to that in part of the post introducing the new forums as well.
It's honestly sad. Like, having been around since the beginning, like I always, at the beginning, like, and up until probably 2008, it was always a pleasure interacting with CCP. And then the culture started to really change badly as far as how the ISD interacted with the players. It was always very friendly and inclusive before that, and then it started getting more and more like, I guess it's just from the size of the company growing and people not being as interconnected. But I remember the old ISD was always pretty good. Like a Neuromancer and people like her were around. It was always fun.
Yeah, obviously ISDs can't reveal who they are, but I feel like I'd like to hear from some former ISDs who spent some time volunteering. Tell me about kind of the community within the ISD.
Okay, so how much time do you have?
I mean,
I'm just kidding. It's not me.
40 minutes was the answer.
Again, I've thought about joining the ISD, but I wouldn't be able to control myself. I'd be like, hey guys, guess what? I'm part of ISD.
Yeah, you want to see a heavy hand to make me an ISD.
Right. No soup for you.
Do you want to go over rule number 9?
Yeah, so rule number 9 is use of kill reports and chat logs to troll and or flame is prohibited. So basically what they said is, we don't want your r/Eve type stuff here. Keep that on Reddit.
No L minor posts.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like, if I post a kill mail of yours and be like, yeah, we dunked your Fortizar.
Yeah, it's not very nice, and it's not constructive, and that's being trolly, and I don't like it, senor.
You can fuck right off back to Reddit.
Ban him.
Today I conquered your Fortizar. Here is the kill mail from our glorious combat.
Let me tell you how you could have done better next time, friend.
I strongly suspect that may be geared towards the now legendary AT-12 incident where they had 1488 gas in their cargo hold.
Oh, tissue.
Oh, man.
Hold on,
That was
explain
so
that.
bad.
Explain that.
Okay,
So
fucking white supremacist shit, 1488, etc. So they put gas in their cargo holds in the AT with the quantity of 1488.
1488 has specific meaning within the Klansman structure.
Didn't they get kicked for that?
Yeah.
Or
Yes, they got banned for it.
Well,
I remember that.
But I think they're trying to kind of head stuff off at the pass like that.
The problem is when they make the rules so vague, it's like it feels overreaching.
Yeah,
Well-
I went through them. It's pretty darn vague, and I think they're either going to have to do one, expand on it, or two. That's why they use rule number 8 to leave it open to say, okay, per subform, we can add more rules if we think it's necessary.
I would hazard a guess that if you look at rules for other major forms, they probably share more in common than not. And you know, it's just a large matter of CCP trying to cover their ass because they can't think of every scenario, so they try and leave them, you know, lots of gray room so they can wiggle around. Because I mean, people love to push boundaries, and it eaves the game for that. So
The EULA
That's
has
the
a
key
lot
of
of the
it.
same language, right?
Yeah, it does, and that's the key of it right there. Is people like to push boundaries, and when they do so, it makes it very difficult for a company to put very specific terms of what they need to do or what they don't want, etc. Because there's too many people that want to go in and rule lawyer their way out of a situation. So by keeping it vague, if someone is clearly intending to toe the line and do that kind of stuff, then they can just be like, all right, see you, done. And it's a lot easier for a company's legal department to deal with that kind of stuff.
Indeed. So lastly but not leastly, Mirdad, you see did you see those changes in the Sissy on the T3 cruisers?
Yeah, so I think this is the deepest well of topic within
So deep.
what's coming out in January. So deep that I definitely do not feel comfortable to wade in lest I
January?
drown. January, maybe July.
July is what you meant to say.
June-tober.
Let me tell you about 7.4% beer.
Oh, look at you.
Let me sing you the ways.
July is going to feature the T3 cruiser changes. I'll give you the highlights, and then we'll jump into free discussion of this topic. Instead of each race having 5 subsystems for each hull variant, it's going to have 4. Instead of having 4 variants for each subsystem, it's going to have 3. There's a new model for the Loki coming, and all the models will be skinnable, as they are now within, not going to be all different shapes. Right? T3s, they can make all different shapes of the old models.
One little thing you missed is that rigs are going to be removable from T3s.
That's
Big.
Another
That's a
thing,
big thing.
another thing that I noticed, I didn't notice before, and I didn't hear said anywhere, but T3 cruisers, at least the Loki, is going to have a subsystem bay, and it's 120 M3, so you can have 3
It's hot
subsystems
swap.
in your subsystem bay.
So you don't have to have a mobile depot now. You can just do it right from the ship.
No, you'll still need to have a mobile depot, but it'll be
Okay.
like a fleet hangar or something like that.
Extra
it's just
space
extra
to
carry.
space. Yeah, because they're a pain in the dick. So check this out. In terms of, are you done introducing, or can we just dive right in? Because I'm
Dive in.
Dive.
Okay. So Loki looks like a piece of shit now. Not gonna be so much soon, hopefully. Number 2, Loki fleets outside of like Autistic Black Legion are already Loki fleets. Who does Loki fleets? Nobody. It's coming because if they do the missile change like they said, then there are going to be Loki Tengu fleets. It's going to be a fucking thing. But Vandery hit a massive point. Rigs are removable. So in your PvE Proteus, shall we say, you go to your destination using hyperspatial rigs and your nullified covert ops, etc. And you get there super fast, and then you just refit to your tank rigs and your tanky subsystems that you keep in your subsystem bay, and you wreck through your DED complex, etc. And then you refit for travel, and off you fucking go. Dude, that is gonna be amazing.
For rapid response, it's going to be crazy. Another thing, I was just screwing around with some bits last night, and I noticed if you are a Black Ops heavy group, these things are going to be monsters.
Yeah, especially with the changes to the launch.
I came up with a Legion fit, and this is obviously they can get changed. I'm not sure, but it acted literally as a command booster, bonus prober, and Logi with covert ops cloak fitted.
So there's 2 things enabling this, right? The logistics and the command boosting skills have been incorporated onto one
Yeah.
subsystem, right?
which is a great change. That's a good change.
I agree.
Core rig, right?
Yeah, he meant to
Yes,
say the subsystem.
Or the core subsystem, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the second bonus is that the covert ops and interdiction nullified have been moved to a defensive skill and not to an offensive subsystem, right? Defensive subsystem.
Right. Yeah, you can still have offense while having nullification.
Yeah, it's my understanding, at least guys within my group have been kind of playing with Fitz, that the traditional hunter-killer that a lot of people have used is probably not going to be super viable. Just the way the slot layout works with having nullification and cloaking enabled on these ships means that you're probably losing anywhere from 1 to 3 mids, and every mid's super important on hunter-killers. But I think we'll see some flexibility as people try and come up with designs to, either get around that or possibly do it in tandem with other ships.
I was looking at a hunter-killer Tengu that can do hunter-killer type jobs while also having bonus jams. Like, I always thought that would be like an ECM tank.
Yeah, that's an interesting role. I will say there's also, shout out to Tweet Fleet Slack, a lot of people have been theory crafting in there and posting different fits as the numbers have been rolling out. There's been some really interesting and novel fits around certain edge cases. Like, for instance, someone posted a 100 MN Legion that with overheat bonus. And again, one of the things that the new changes are bringing in is overheat is much more powerful on T3s now. I believe this Legion went like 3,000 meters a second and had very good tracking with Scorch out to like 50 kilometers on medium lasers. So they were talking about doing some sort of interesting nano small gang sort of stuff with overpropped Legion, things of that nature.
So here's one thing. Like, are we at a consensus here that maybe we are not nerfing or affecting T3 cruisers to the point where they are not outshadowing heavy assault cruisers still? Like, I don't know about you guys, but I definitely get the feeling that T3 cruisers, part of the reason they wanted to do the rebalance was that they were just so oppressively powerful compared to a hack.
Well, there's an interesting balance point there, because one of the things we've been talking about internally is, like you mentioned with the Loki being an absolute beast with hams, what that's going to mean, because with the tank changes, especially on the Legion, people have been talking about, large groups have been talking about moving away from the Legion as kind of the primary platform of Wormhole Space, because, I mean, basically Wormhole Space is Legions online. You sit at 0 or near 0 and have 170k EHP and missile DPS, and you just brawl it out until someone breaks. With these changes, that's significantly impacted at least that particular meta within our community. Legions, at the very least, the Legion hull is no longer nearly as viable for that as it used to be. And given that, even still, I think there's a lot of flexibility within things like the Loki to replace, that sort of doctrine, which basically means, short of groups, I mean, in my group we use sacrileges, but that's mostly because of cost reasons. Short of something, edge case like that, you're not really going to see hacks used any more than they have been already, because their bonuses just aren't that great compared to T3 bonuses, even still.
I don't know about that. One of the big problems with the T3 cruisers, and I would like to see it addressed, is the align speed is so bad. Like, I understand they nerfed it intentionally, but it almost feels too heavy-handed of a nerf to me. It's literally like a battleship align speed.
I'm okay with that, though. Let's be honest here. They're too powerful.
I understand they're powerful, but I don't know if the align speed is where you want to hit them.
Honestly, I would like to see them hit in a way where when they do the same or more DPS as a hack, they have less tank than.
But they do have less tank, generally speaking.
Than a hack?
Than a plated zealot? Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with you on that, bud.
It depends on the hack. And moreover, like, for instance, on a plated zealot, I mean, how many groups do you see ever use zealots in any sort of real doctrine?
Before hold on. Before legions and Proteuses were a thing, it was, in terms of cruiser size hulls, it was zealots online. Then they came out, and the counterpoint to the expensive T3 cruisers, the Proteus and Legions, which were severely outclassing the zealots, was Ishtars, because they were the only ones at that point in time that could hang with that, because they were disengageable, etc., and they do battleship DPS, blah, blah, blah. But before that was the meta, it was 100%, it was zealot online.
No, and that being the case, I mean, we can talk about past metas, till we're blue in the face, but the reality is I mean, at least personally, just looking at kill boards and seeing null fleets moving around, I don't see zealots used in nearly the numbers you would expect compared to
because the
other
service
ships.
is better right now.
Right. I mean, there's other better ships, is my point. And I think there's other better ships than hacks in general, except for very specific roles. For instance, the Serb, which is arguably the most powerful hack in the line.
It is right now. In today's current meta, the Serb 100% is the most powerful hack.
I don't know. I based on what I'm hearing, at least, even if it doesn't shake out this way, based on the amount of groups I'm seeing chattering about Loki's, it seems like it's definitely going to be Loki's online, at the very least for Wormhole Space, if not for other groups.
There's a little bit of the novelty to it as well. Like, judging by the stats, I don't think a purely Loki fleet will be good, but a Loki Tengu fleet will absolutely be powerful.
Well, and I saw someone bring up a really interesting point, and I don't know how this will play out in the meta, but with the inclusion of the logistics and command burst systems on that core subsystem, potentially you have the capability to run, and the example they were using was legions. You can use Newt legions, you can use legions as a logistics platform and as a command burst platform, and you have no real way of differentiating which ship is doing what within the fleet, which this person was arguing would make the job of an FC calling targets that much harder, because now it's no longer, primary the Balgorn because that'll remove your newts. It's, well, look for the ships that are doing newt damage because they're all legions.
That is actually a real thing. Iron and Fane in our past used a Tengu fleet, and we used Logi Tengus within the Tengu fleet and boosting Tengus within the Tengu fleet to great effect. And we talked to enemy FCs who were enemy at the time, who are neutrals now, but they confirmed it was very disruptive to their status quo of target calling.
I mean, if you can't identify the modern boosting ships with their graphics, I mean.
Well, I mean, I don't disagree with that, but in a fleet fight where you're rolling around with 50 to 100 ships, you as FC having to zoom in and watch very closely for where the burst is actually coming from, and then calling that character a target. It's a lot of mental bandwidth that an FC normally would just, it's this type of ship, so it's doing, this kind of E-War or DPS, the mental shortcuts they use to quickly call primaries.
Call me crazy, but I think that having more roles for people within your fleet other than F1 is a good thing.
100%.
Agreed.
I'm just really
crazy.
I'm
crazy.
Just really, really, really excited that the people who so within Iron, there is this core group of people who I consider the useful nerds, And these useful nerds are also the people who have things like logistical stuff trained all the way up. They generally are also the same group of people that have the command burst skills and the command ship stuff trained up, etc. So I don't know. I just see that change as super beneficial to a group like Iron, where those same people that I can count on to be really good logistics pilots are also the pilots that have the skills, again, to do the leadership skill stuff. But it's not boring for them, because currently it's like, okay, do I want to have one boost and a bunch of guns and do that kind of stuff and just like boost on the side? Or do I want to make maximum use of my skills and have 3 boosts on? Or, you know what I mean? So I think this is kind of a good, healthy mix.
I did see one criticism on Twitter today comparing the Sleipnir
and the
resistances and the T3 Loki resistances, and they weren't very comparable. The Sleipnir had higher base resistances, I think.
But doesn't the Sleipnir also have higher signature radius? So it's easier to hit.
This was in like the actual like shield and armor base resistances. The criticism was around T3 cruiser resistances and how they should typically have higher base resistances.
Why? Maybe that's a change, because I don't know if I agree with that on a balance spectrum. Like, the whole reason for using like a Zealot over an Omen or a Demos over a Thorax is obviously slightly different, or maybe even completely different bonuses, but the T2 resist profile on the hull is a big contributing factor to what you do with the hull. So having, and then for that, the price of that is sacrificing the 3rd rig slot. Now, in T3s, potentially, they're going to be changing that so that it's not just an automatic, oh, it's a T3, it's a super expensive hull, etc. It must have good resistances. Maybe they're factoring that into balance.
Yeah, and they're probably also factoring the fact that you're going to be able to overload your resistances a lot more, especially with that subsystem that gets bonuses to overheating hardeners. So it might encourage you to, that might be what makes up the difference, because if they give you command ship bonuses, plus, command ship resistances plus the overheat bonus, it might be too powerful, because you can overheat for a very long time in a max skill T3.
Yeah, and due to the strategic cruiser skill book getting the bonus to the repair cycle time as well, so that we worked it out where you could have 2 webs on a Loki and you could overheat one of them almost to death and turn it off and then repair it and have the other one on the other side of your rack going and almost till death, and you could do it. And as long as you were repairing your mods in between, like your buffer mods, like a shield extender or something like that, you wouldn't actually take the HP hit, and you could effectively sustain an overheated web for the entire fight.
I do like the modularness of the new T3s being more designed to refit on the go.
Yeah. I just wish they weren't so powerful, to be honest. I want to see hacks used again. I don't want to see just T3 blobs. I want to see T3s augmenting hacks, or T3s using in specialized unique roles.
I think that's going to take a reworking of hacks in general, because I don't think most hacks do well in large engagements. Like, Deimos is terrible for most large engagements.
Demos is terrible, but let's be honest, the Ishtar's still good. The armor Ishtar, I mean,
it's very slow. That's the problem.
It's an armor Ishtar, so it's like an armor ship. It's just like a fucking Zealot, right? I mean, Zealots are still really good. The only ones that are really shining at this point are the Cerberus. I mean, it was the Ishtar until it got fucking beat down, but
multiple times. Yeah, I mean, the Deimos is not viable. The Sacrilege, like, I don't think the Sacrilege in large scale is viable. The Zealot is, the Cerberus is, Ishtar kind of, depending on the situation. But other than that, like, I don't know.
The Ishtar had its time in the sun.
The Munin really needs some help, because there's just better ships than the Munin, flat out.
Yeah, it's called a Hurricane.
It's called a Cinnable.
It's called a fucking Rupture. God.
And the Vagabond, let's not even get into that.
Oh man, I miss my fucking like 2007, 2008 Vagabond where oh my god, it was
You know what I
just-
don't miss? I don't miss the Stababons.
I'm glad you called them that instead of the term that they were normally called. But yes, that is exactly what I was going to bring up. The whole like two warp core stabs, 2 gyro stabs, shield extenders, fucking MWD, and then it was the aggression timer. It wasn't even a thing, so it was like you jump into a massive fleet and you're like YOLO MWD back to the gate, jump through and log out before you load on the other side. Oh, God, Eve was so broken back in the day.
Yeah, well. But yeah, the Mimitar hacks really need some help to make them usable again. I don't know whether it's to increase the damage on the, especially the mutant, increase the damage or increase the range. I think a range, like a big range buff on the mutant would be very interesting.
But then it's a direct competitor to the Eagle.
Yeah, but is that a bad thing? The Eagle does more DPS, the mutant does more alpha.
Yeah, but that's like apples to apples almost. I mean, I could understand if it was like
maybe give it a tracking bonus, like a bigger tracking bonus, so the MOA has range, but the mutant has more tracking, so it's better.
That would be interesting. Shit. That would be interesting because, like, honestly, the mutant just needs enough power grid to be able to fit a fucking tank and Arties.
Yeah. I honestly think like give it a big tracking bonus and give it more of a damage bonus so that you don't have to sacrifice all the slots to have some damage. And it would be real interesting again.
I mean, I think bringing the discussion back to T3s a little bit, regardless of what happens, even with the T3 balances, and I think on the whole, we can probably, say that these T3 changes aren't so much a nerf as they are kind of a side grade. They're not direct nerfs in the way that we typically think of, reduced damage, reduced tank. They've gained some utility in different places and lost it in others. But regardless of that, like, as many people have been crying now for well over 2-3 years, I can remember posts, stretching back then. The hack line, just as a whole, is just very confusing and anemic. The bonuses don't seem to be particularly useful for what they're designed for. They don't see much use outside of very specific niches, or in the case of the Serb, because they're actually a good ship. They need a balance pass sorely, and they need a really a rethinking of what their intended role is supposed to be.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. Like, to speak, and I really hope someone from CCP gets the bug in their head. Don't nerf the Cerberus. Bring the other ones up to the Cerberus's level.
Yeah, like hacks. If you nerf the Cerberus, then it's just like death of hacks. Period. Even though I hate the Cerberus personally, but just touching on your point, saying it's a side grade of T3 is I think it is a nerf because it's a nerf of raw stats and a buff of utility. So it's like two different sides. Like the raw stats are not nearly as good as they were before. You can't get the crazy HP. You can't get the crazy speeds. Other than very, very niche situations where you're not talking about like a ship of the line.
Sure.
Yeah, but you have to sacrifice something to achieve.
Of course, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just just clarifying my point.
Yeah, no, and I there's not. There's not, at least in my case, a Wormhole FC who looked at the current Legion fits that are typically used and thought to themselves, this is a healthy and balanced gameplay when we're rolling around with 150, 170k EHP ships and just sitting at 0 and slugging each other to death. It's not the most exciting thing in the world.
Right.
And ironically, as these nerfs have been coming out, people have been talking about the rise of damnation fleets in Wormhole space.
I was about to bring that up, yeah.
Yeah, specifically because they are effectively, in almost every way
slower
the same as the Legion. Yeah, they're slightly slower, larger mass, which is a consideration.
Less damage.
But and less damage by maybe 50 to 100 DPS.
It's not significant, but it's
yeah. They're basically Legions for all intents and purposes. And when I say less mass, it's really not a significant more or less.
But they also have boost built in, so it's in that situation.
Yeah, and at least in my case, my group's very newbie oriented. We try and take newer guys into the game, and we've been dreading some of those changes for specifically that reason, because welcome to wormhole space. Now train into a command ship immediately, or else you're not going to be that useful.
I feel bad for people who need to train in command ships now, because it's so much less versatile than it was before.
And I mean, and that's with the changes to the train time on command ships. Dear God, I can't imagine what it'd be like before the training time changes. I mean, you're talking about giving up easily 2 to 3 months of train time just to get into a doctrine.
Well, that's why we have skill injectors, right? That's space crack.
Let's not even get into that. Ugh.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a lot of interesting discussion there. Looks like Mirdad has a few other things he want to discuss. Maybe, comma.
Well, we should cover that skill points that we lost for the
yes,
a little bit of a hiccup with the attempted nerf to ghost training. Those will be reimbursed.
Has been reimbursed apparently. What? as of this afternoon.
Yeah. One of my court members checked and he got skill points.
I got mine today.
Everybody's like, "Ooh, piece of candy!"
Ooh, candy.
I've seen several reports on Reddit though that people who notice they had their skill queue paused after the fact have not gotten reimbursement. So it seems like there's some inconsistencies with who they've been reimbursing versus who's actually gotten the bug affected. Because I mentioned I multi-box. I run 24 characters, so I saw probably 3/4 of those have their skill queue paused. So it's very kind of hit or miss.
Yeah,
they did mention in their post that if you know for sure you have a character that was missing them or think that it's missing skill points due to the issues on that day, put in a support ticket for it, and they'll look into it.
Sweet. Well, if you did not register your AT-15 flagship and you're still in the tournament, you are too late. All of the flagships were announced today, and the meta appears to be Balgorns. If you are not on the Balgorn meta, you are apparently in the wrong.
Don't talk to me about flagships. I'm still triggered from last year.
Why?
Because I forgot to submit a flagship.
Oh, so did we. Don't worry about it.
I know, but still. I was so
I'm in that
embarrassed.
boat for a second year now.
Rip.
It's so bad.
Wah, 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 wah.
So, Mirdad, you know how was it last weekend or the weekend before where they did the Eve-a-thon? And I guess CCP Guard did a little streaming himself. Well, apparently this idea caught on, and now there's going to be a Twitch stream tomorrow at, I want to say it's 16:30 Eve time, featuring Guard and Le Beautiful Mimic.
They're going to teach some new players how to Eve, right?
Yeah, they're going to do what we've been doing for years. It's cute, isn't it?
I mean, if I could get paid to stream, that'd be cool.
Dude, I would fucking... Hell yeah.
I'm still going to watch it. Well, actually, no, I'm not going to watch it because I'm not going to be around. But I'm sure I'll watch it later.
Last thing that was breaking news as of an hour ago was there are less than 30 tickets left for guest passes for the Eve Vegas party. So if you haven't bought a guest pass for your spouse or whoever you're bringing, that hooker that you bought at, never mind.
Jesus. Wow, you went there.
Oh, it is Vegas.
I mean, it's Vegas.
They're not hookers. They're
Call girls.
Escorts.
Sexual
semantics. I need an escort to escort my...
Don't even go.
Bedroom sponsor. You should get your tickets immediately.
Are you cooking bacon again? Canadian bacon?
I wish. My wife is home, though.
Is she cooking Canadian bacon?
She's going to beat me. Everyone note when she beats me. But we should get to the closing. In case anyone else has anything they want to cover within the week's news.
No, pretty good.
It's been like relatively quiet as far as, I mean, there's been a few skirmishes here and there, but I mean, I think it's just business as usual. There's nothing crazy going on, nothing exciting.
I mean,
as much as I can tell.
That Provi fight was 700 billion.
Haven't there been a few?
That's pretty intense, to be honest.
There's been a lot of dread drops this week.
Yeah, there was a dread on dread battle.
Failed the Goon dread bomb as well.
Yeah, rip.
But Eve is dead, guys.
Dead?
Yeah, Eve's fucking dying.
Yay, we can finally quit.
Good lord, imagine how productive I'd be.
I know, right? Monday, what would I do with my Monday nights?
I might
Probably
actually
play other
work at
video
work.
games.
Probably have to start my brewing podcast.
Well, there is still a couple Eve meetups coming up. Besides Eve Vegas in the distance, there's also Eve Northeast. You should buy tickets to that if you're in the Northeast
Oh, yeah.
United States or Southeast of Canada.
If you go to Eve Northeast, make sure you go straight up to Jay McLean and give him a big old mouth kiss for me and tell him big old wet one.
That's not where I was expecting that to go.
That'll go over well.
Hugs,
would.
firm handshakes, passionate mouth kisses, all in the same level.
There is also Eve meetup in Detroit on July 1st. There are some Germany meets on July 5th and 8th.
That would be the Rhein-Main Stammtisch on 5 July and Konstanz Stammtisch on 8 July.
Thanks for translations.
I mean, I used to live there for 3 years. I might well pick up something.
If you're going to the Detroit meetup, make sure you pack.
I actually went to a few Eve meets whilst in Germany, and they all know some pretty good English. So if you are like how I was, a American citizen living in Germany, or you find yourself in a foreign country, don't be hesitant to go to a local meetup if there is one there. You know, they do for the most part speak English, and you should have a good time anyways.
Don't forget to plug the Vancouver meetup.
Well, yeah, that's every
Yeah.
third Tuesday.
Jesus Christ, every third Tuesday in New West in Vancouver.
Third Tuesday.
Yay.
Yeah, come on up. If you're down in Washington, we do have a good turnout every week, and I mean, it runs like good 3-4 hours, so it's worth your time to come up.
Yeah, it's pretty good. We've had varied discussions from basically similar topics to tonight to like some super heavy lore nights. I remember you and another individual going on and on about lore, and I was like, oh my god, I've been playing this game for over a decade and I have no fucking clue what you're talking about. It was awesome.
I mean, yeah, I know some things.
Gotta read them Chronicles, man.
Seriously. And like, I mean, shout out to Dire Lothros for making like the best Eve video ever about Dave Darkness 2, which apparently was spawned from a Chronicle.
Oh crap! Speaking of video, does somebody have the link to that video we were throwing around this morning about the microtransactions and kind of explaining it for MMOs?
It's in a Discord. Join us in Discord.
Yeah.
You get cool shit.
Yeah, that's definitely cool. So if you don't understand how what we're complaining about with the microtransactions and how Plex to ISK and this and that is bad for the economy, and it's a pretty good video. It's in the Discord. I'll see if I can find it and post it real quick. But if you're curious as to how that works, you'll find out in this video.
I legit stole that from Reddit. I'm no guilt there.
I've actually seen it around a few different places today.
It's a good video.
Found it.
Well, let us get some shoutouts and plugs. Let us start with Commander A's. Would you like to plug anything?
I'd like to plug INN News Network and shout out to my alliance and corporation. The alliance is the Bastion, and the corporation is Sub-Zero.
Great. Tridget, please plug something.
Well, shout out to Iron Armada. You're the classiest bunch of shitlords I know.
Almost true. Correct. Vandry, please plug something.
Shout out to my Alliance Feign Disorder. If you like small gangs to medium gangs and you like not having a lot of blues, we're your guys. And also shout out to the Molten Heath community. Been around since 2007, still going strong.
Great. Lohan.
Yeah, shout out to my corporation, Wormbro. We're a relatively large group looking to get newbies into the game, experience wormhole space. We're looking for new pilots anytime we take anyone, any SP level. Good group of guys. I've been with them for now over 3 years, and we've managed to somehow hold it together. So,
Seriously, you're a new bro-friendly wormhole group?
one of the few, as far as I'm aware.
Why don't you poke me your deets here on Discord? Because if I get recruits that are looking for that kind of stuff, I'll send them your way.
Sounds good.
So you have to tell us who your dog is. Otherwise, chat is going to lose their shit.
My dog right here is Petra. She is a 8-month-old pit bull terrier lab retriever black lab mix. We just adopted her from a shelter just recently. She stole our heart, and she's learned how to be a good dog, but she's a real cutie.
Stole all the squeak toys, apparently.
Based on that mix, I'm guessing she's pretty big.
Actually, she is 30 pounds right now, and apparently 75% done growing, so she's going to clock out around 35, 38. She's a very, very mid-sized dog, very compact, only about maybe 1.5 feet tall, 3 feet long.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've got a lab mastiff mix, and she's about a year old and 100 pounds.
They're all good dogs, Brent.
Amen to that.
Well, Kale, what do you want to shout out this week?
Well, I definitely do. I want to shout out 2 things. Number one, if you are in the Central Texas area, that would be near Austin or Round Rock, Killeen, Fort Hood area, you should go down to Austin and check out the Jester King Brewery. So if you're into what's it called, the open air or mixed wild fermentation type stuff, so sour beers, they've got an excellent selection of that. A lot of hipsters there, so if you're not into hipsters, just make sure you put on your stunner shades and just ignore them. But other than that, it's cool. Also, shout out to Erica Mizune, also known as DJ Umene, and various other things previously of Eve Radio fame. She's now in CO2. I saw her a couple times over the past week and said hello to her, and local. It was very nice chatting with her in our CO2 TeamSpeak.
Friend of the show.
Yeah, and I actually did get word from her. Let me pull this up here. She messaged me earlier in regards to the Eve Radio status. She said it looks like the Alliance may be getting disbanded. She got word from one of her supporters who stayed, and he informed her that there was an Alliance notification that the Executor Corp, so as we know, that was Trump's finger, the dickbag who took the Alliance from underneath her. He had insufficient Alliance maintenance bills, so that's going to be the end of the Eve Radio Alliance.
Does that free the name up for a new retaking?
Yes, it does.
But I think because of the fact that she's now part of CO2 and she's going to be doing jump freighting, she's probably kind of done with that. So if anybody else wants to get a handle on that, just sure you just got to get a hold of Erica and talk to her about it.
Sweet. My shout out this week goes to Julius Doctor from Mark Corp and tangentially to Dridget for helping me set up my new computer build. It is coming. Status.
Yes.
It
Can you
shall
say that word
be
one
here. Sorry.
Can you say that word one more time? I want to hear that.
Computer.
Not tangentially.
Tangentially.
Good luck.
Oh, beer.
Let's do it anyways.
Thank you, beer. It is coming. It should be here Tuesday or Wednesday, and I should have it assembled for Thursday or Friday, hopefully. And we'll see about having all the buttons ready to be pushed on Monday. It's also my anniversary, So, Kale?
Oh, I'm not gonna be around.
So, we'll see you
No show
in
next week.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's America's birthday. Get over it.
It's Canada's birthday on the 1st.
Look at you. Also, though, before we fully get out, congratulations, Miradon, on achieving 300 followers on Twitch or Twitter. You're welcome.
Thank you. Bees Knees is asking in chat. It's i5 7600, NVIDIA 1060, 16 gigs of RAM, some hard drives, a case, and two 27-inch monitors, of which I have one currently. It is much bigger than my old 19. Much bigger. So much bigger. So much screen real estate. I did not know you could have so much screen real estate for Eve and how useful that is.
Dude, you're all. I'm honestly not even gonna lie. The biggest thing I'm excited about is being able to play Overwatch with you and not hear your stupid fucking push to talk mic on your laptop.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be nice too. Full, not lagging, all games. I'm excited. You'll all see the benefits in less laggy streams, I hope. So, for everyone here at the show, thank you for all our guests for coming on the tonight's episode. Thanks for everyone in the live Twitch broadcast for coming and watching. We appreciate it. If you missed a piece of this, make sure to catch us on the podcast. You can download us from everywhere. Everywhere there's podcasts, you should be able to find us.
Even your TV has it.
Everywhere. If you don't have it for some reason, just poke us. We will find it. We'll get it. We'll get it there. YouTube, you can catch it there if you want to watch the video and watch my smug face roll around in laughter at the squeak toy. And if you are not part of our Discord community, please come join us. We are friendly. We would like to talk to you outside of the show. We'd like to have you on as a guest. We'd like to hear more from you. Please come join us on Discord.
Yep.
And that's all. If you'd like to sponsor the show, we have a Patreon. We don't expect nothing. It's all good. And that is it. Any last words?
Thanks for having us on again, bud.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, man.
Yep. Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it. Good night. Good night.
Cheers.